All right. Well, here we go again for yet another one. So, a rock and a hard place. I want to start with this. I apologize, you know, I'm sure that he's already left the channel and that is his business. But I'm sure Hello 99 I think got tired of my rhetoric, which was leaning a little bit too right wing for him, and that's true. And so I apologize to him. I'm sure that he has moved on because of his recent comment where where I talked about abortion potentially being overturned somewhat, at least in the larger context, Roe v. Wade, and I supported that. And he said that, basically, do you want to have rape babies and poor children? And I'm just like, I don't want to make this an issue, but I know that Hello 99 has been around a while. I know that he has contacted me and told me about his situation in Oklahoma. And so I hope that he is doing okay, and I hope that he can, move on past this. And I will move on as well. But I do want to say I apologize, but I have my opinions. So with that out of the way, a rock and a hard place. This is going to be somewhat more self-indulgent than normal, which is saying something. But I think, it's hard to really say what's going to happen with American politics. People are making their excuses that Republicans are going to go more right wing and everything else like that. I don't think it's going to go as hard as people may think it will. I think that they still have their donors, they still have their money. They want to maintain what they have. There's a lot of folks who are trapped in this sort of, we want to maintain what we have. So we don't want to, we don't want to become revolutionaries. We simply want to be the conservative who adopts stuff that, Dems wanted to do 10 years ago. That's why they're called classical liberals, right? There are plenty of folks who are still trapped in that mindset. And to a point I am. I'm still trapped in that mindset. Because I don't have the political wherewithal or the power, basically, to, fully understand that. So ultimately, I'm just going to be a foot soldier or a pleb for somebody else. It's hard to really look at, but that's the truth. I've sometimes lived in the fantasy that I would be some rugged individualist, as Americans always do. We live in this rugged individualist fantasy that's just like, yeah, you're gonna, we're gonna avoid all the tricks and whatnot and become rich and everything. It's something that we tell ourselves so that we can cope with our lives. That's all it is. But we are. Americans are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I'm listening to this Imperium cast with Joel Davis talking to Eric Stryker, aka Joseph Jordan. Feel as you want to about him. I go back and forth. I think that he's a very engaging person, but he's a moron, and he says a lot of dumb shit. I'm listening to this stream now that's been going on for 2.5 hours. It's probably going to go to 3. And of course, every other timer, they will censor the word Jew, every little bit. They'll sometimes say it, but then other times they don't want to give it away, I guess, and they want to avoid things, so they'll censor it, and they'll do clever little edits of it. They'll be like, Jew, Jew, Jew. Anyway. And it's silly to hear sometimes. And of course, like I say, Eric Stryker, very much somebody who based China sort of thing. Like I say, I'm trying to step away a little bit from that because I think that China is what it is ultimately. I'm not Chinese. I'm an American. Um, in some fantasy world, I could see myself as European, but Europeans and Americans are two different things. You know, a Frenchman and someone from Quebec are two different things. Like I said, the English and Americans are separated by a common language, right? That's kind of what Churchill said. I know that's a very butchered, ham-fisted way to put it, but that's the truth. To think that Americans, broadly speaking, have any connection with Europe, and I say, I'll be honest with you, what white Americans or European Americans have some sort of connection with Europe. No, I'm sorry. It's like, it's a very disappointing thing to see. How bad is America going to get? How bad is the United States going to get? It's anyone's guess. Like I say, I think that there will be a rush on, some intelligent folks or people that they think are worth it, so to speak, that are worth the trouble of getting. But for the large, vast majority of Americans, we're going to be stuck in this country, this land that, we know nothing else really. And we're just going to be kind of digging through the scraps, I guess, digging through what is left, and it's very disappointing. There's still a lot of folks, and I will fall into this trap, and I have, of this glorious, revolution or something like that. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy, and it's something to once again make yourself look heroic, to make yourself look like it'll be a tough struggle. In actuality, it probably won't happen that way. But it's a good comfort. It's a weird comfort to think of yourself in that way, Like I say, the content is going to shift. I'm going to try to do more videos showing what I do on the job and talking about that instead of straight, political videos, because I feel that it's just kind of tiring. It is. And ultimately, my takes are influenced by more like Twitter and stuff like that. I would say I have some original opinions, I would say, but mostly it comes from that more than any legitimate analysis from me. But it's a very disappointing and sobering experience, So like I say, and I'll wrap it up with this long meandering video, as they typically are. I apologize if people have been offended by my turn or maybe my mask off moments in some ways. But it's frustrating. I'll say it's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for a lot of folks in the United States who are going to be facing these issues of being dependent on others. I think, the United States does have resources, and I think the United States is not completely going to be destroyed, but I think it's just a question of, can we create these parallel structures, and are we able to sustain ourselves in a realistic way and not rely on China and not rely on purely finance or whatever the case may be, It's a hard thing to look at. And sometimes you have to just look in the mirror and just stare into the abyss and see where you come out. Are you going to turn away? Are you going to be sucked in by it? Or are you just going to look into it and see what you can from it, and then accept it. And me, honestly, I think I'll try to prefer to accept my way with things. Accept that to a large degree I'll be a pleb for somebody else, or be more of a quote unquote technician. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it is a reality. We can all pretend that we're big players, or that we're going to be movers and shakers. The reality is, I know I'm just one of thousands of millions of billions of commentators giving their sometimes cringy, sometimes somewhat insightful, mostly garden variety opinions on politics. I don't know. I think that's all I got. This is very self-indulgent. I apologize, but I'm trying to look at it realistically. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed that. See you later. Goodbye.